Camelia's banner is ending in 2 days, which is very sad, yes, but also what's coming next is nothing to scoff at. Xiangliao and Yinlin are the next limited time characters to bless Wuthering Waves. However, the timing about it is just a little unfortunate. And yeah, if you're a longtime player, you already see the difficulty in this. Yinlin and Yao both work extremely well together, but they don't need each other in order to be viable options. And this doesn't just stop with them, it also proceeds on to the weapons that they use, their best in slot weapons. Those are also extremely solid and also best in slot weapons for other resonators in the game. Which means that for a large majority of players, they're going to have to either choose between Yinlin or Xiangliao. But despite who you pick today, I'm going to be focusing on one of those characters being Xiangliao, and I'm going to be going over Yao's best echoes, team compositions, weapons, stat priority, and then I'll also be demonstrating how to use him in my preferred team at the end of the video. And just so you know, I will be making more guides like this in the future, and my content will continue to get better. So if you guys do enjoy this, please give it a like and subscribe. And if there's anything else I can do better in these videos, please leave it down in the comment section below. There's actually a person the other day that let me know a lot of information that I was missing, or some things that I was slightly off of, and I thank you so much. You'll actually see it right here on the screen. They really took their time and went into the details and what they knew, and yeah, I greatly appreciate it. This is really what the community is for. It's to help each other out, and although I'm trying to do my part through videos, some people may not have the time and can simply do it through the comment section alone, and yeah, I'm extremely thankful for it. Thank you, man. But let's go on to the basics. All right, so if we look on screen, Xiangliao, ooh-wee. All right, so as we can see in the combat roles, we can see that he's a main damage dealer in addition to him being a resonance liberation damage dealer, which means that the majority of his damage is going to be coming from his resonance liberation. And with him being a electro unit, and especially a main damage dealer, his echoes are actually pretty simple to get around. So if we look here on my Xiangliao, I'm using Void Thunder, the Void Thunder set, and I'm using it for a few reasons. But first, we'll look into the Sonata effect really quick. And if you guys don't know this, if you click on one of your echoes and then click on the outline here, if it's like this, click it so it moves over to the left, and you'll be able to see a lot more stats. So as we can see, it's 10% electro damage bonus in addition to 15% electro damage bonus after releasing the heavy attack or resonance skill, and this stacks up to 2 times, giving you a total of 30 if you use either resonance skill or heavy attack 2 times. And as of right now, there are 2 4-cost echoes that you guys can use. It is between, of course, Tempest and Mephis, or if we go over here, it could be Thundering Mephis. Now, the problem with Thundering Mephis is that after the final hit, as you can see here, the current character's electro damage is increased by 12% and resonance liberation damage by 12%. So although this is a very nice buff, Thundering Mephis hits for 6 times. So on that 6th slash, that final slash is when you get the buff. It's no other slash before or in between, which makes the rotation a little wonky and also takes up a lot of time where you are quite vulnerable to be attacked by characters like Fallacy or other bosses like Crownless. So although Thundering Mephis gives a much better buff, I think Tempest Mephis is actually a much stronger option, because after the claw hit, which he only does 2 strikes, he does a tail swing and then he does a claw strike, and on that claw strike he gets an increase in his electro damage bonus and heavy attack damage bonus for 12% each. So although you're missing out on that resonance liberation damage bonus, you're still getting this bonus much faster than if you were to be using it on the Thundering Mephis. And now for the substats, it's actually extremely simple. You want resonance liberation, as we can see here, resonance liberation damage. We would love crit rate as well as crit damage, because those always help our main damage dealers to output a much larger number. And in addition to that, we would love to have some attack percent, just to make his punches hit much harder. And I think this is actually a perfect example of an echo for Yao, because it not only has crit rate, crit damage, and resonance liberation, but it also has resonance skill damage bonus, which is something else that Yao uses a lot of when he is not in his enhanced state, aka his resonance liberation damage window. Now we're going to skip up really quick over to his weapon choices. Now for his weapon choices, I personally have Stonard. Stonard is a solid option, and I personally use Stonard for that Resonance Liberation damage bonus. At rank 3, it has a total of 36% Resonance Liberation damage bonus, and that lasts for 15 seconds. And that of course is easy to proc, and it's just by using your Resonance skill. As for other options, obviously his best in slot is going to be his best in slot weapon, correct? So Verity's Handle is going to be a really solid option for Yao. Not even solid, it's going to be his best option. After that, it's going to be Abyss Surges. Now, Abyss Surges is really good because of the double attack increase as well as energy regen. And I mean double attack because it has its base attack and then its substat is also attacked. And if I'm not mistaken, also increases resonance skill as well as basic attack damage. But in my opinion, if you are a BP connoisseur, there's no real need to get Abyss Surges because the difference in damage between Stonard and Abyss Surges is not that different. Not to mention Stonard also comes with crit rate, which is a really solid stat for Shangliao to have, and also makes it a little easier on your echoes if you do roll low substats on crit rate. Celestial Spiral is also a good option for Yao because not only does it grant resonance energy, but it also increases attack by 10%, lasting up to 16 seconds, and the reset is every 20 seconds. So in reality, you're going to have 4 seconds of downtime on this weapon. And lastly, I do want to be talking about Hollow Mirage because Hollow Mirage is also another solid option for a lot of players out there. I mean, if we look right here, it says Resonance Liberation is cast, which is all you do with Shangliao, grants 3 stacks of iron armor. Each stack increases attack and defense by 3%, stacking up to 3 times, and when the Resonator takes damage, it reduces the number of stacks by 1. It is kind of a glass cannon-y type of thing, but when it comes to Shangliao, this shouldn't be too much of a problem since he has that time slow mechanic, making it much easier to predict what moves are coming next from the enemy and dodge accordingly. So that were some solid options for Shangliao. Hopefully you guys do have some of those options because, yeah, they're pretty solid. And I mean, at the very end, and also really quick before we move on to the skill priority, I do want to say that Lingering Tunes is also a very solid option for Yao's Echoes. Now the reason I didn't bring this up in the very beginning is because this is not a set that I've put too much investment in, so I can't say for myself that this is his best in slot. However, as you can see, the Mech Abomination, which is the only 4-cost Echo for Lingering Tunes at the moment, it says after casting this Echo skill, it increases the current character's attack by 12% for 15 seconds. Damage dealt by Mech Waste equals the Resonator's outro skill damage, which is nothing to scoff at once more. And when Mech Abomination is comboed with 4 other Lingering Tuned Echoes, we can see down at the bottom that not only does he get the attack increase by 10%, but while he is on field, his attack increases by 5% every 1.5 seconds, and it stacks up to 4 times. But for the time being, I'm still going to be sticking with Void Thunder for the fact that it's not buffing attack and rather buffing electrode damage. Okay, but let's move on to the skill priority. Oh, baby. Now, this one is very simple. As you guys can see, Resonance Liberation is where you want to go. This is what you want to reach max level first because his entire kit is within his Resonance Liberation. And you guys will see how I use it within the demonstration later on, but just to quickly talk about this, as soon as you click Q, or whatever key you use for your Resonance Liberation, you're going to get a total of 3 hypercubes. Now, when you're using your basic attacks or your first enhanced E ability, this is the E ability that you use or resonance skill that you use when your character does not have full forte, you're going to be generating forte for your character. And once that forte bar is full, you're going to be able to expend all of that forte bar for one of the hypercubes that you got in the very beginning of your Resonance Liberation. And that resonance skill is known as Law of Rains. So when you fill your forte gauge up fully, which would be the 5 bars, his resonance skill Divergence is then replaced by resonance skill Law of Rains. And pretty much Law of Rains flash steps over to whatever enemy you're targeting, and then it unleashes one of the hypercubes, doing a bunch of electrode damage. And once again, this is considered Resonance Liberation damage. Now, after your Resonance Liberation, you should invest in your Forte circuit. And that is because if we go to the skill detail, we can see that Decipher, Law of Range, and Revamp all have their damage bonuses, or rather damage multipliers, in this section. So although he is doing Resonance Liberation damage, the skills that he uses within that Resonance Liberation window, their multipliers are stored within the Forte circuit. So you're going to want to build into Forte circuit, and then not far after that, you will do Resonance skill, intro skill, and then normal attack, because normal attack is something that you're going to be using the least amount of the time. And since this is an S0 guide, I will not be going over his sequence nodes because although I can just read it and tell you that, I don't have the experience for myself for each one of these sequence nodes, so I'm not going to get into it just yet. Okay, so that was a brief insight on Yao and his kit. I hope it was pretty solid. Now we can move on to the next section. Okay, so now let's go over the team compositions. I mean, one of the characters that is extremely good for Xiangliao, of course, is one of the reasons why I'm making this video, and it is Yinlin. Now, Yinlin is a super solid character for Yao, not only because they both have the Electro symbol next to their name, but mostly because of the resonance skill damage that she does is pretty solid. The coordinated attack that she does is also pretty solid, but she is a buffer for Electro damage as well as Resonance Liberation damage, which, wait, 1 second, let me see. Xiangliao is okay, he's Electro and he's a Resonance Liberation damage dealer. I see what's going on here. Yinlin is a very strong character for Yao because of those reasons. And not only that, she can also hold on to the 5-piece Moonlit Cloud set, which of course we talked about in the last video with Sanhua. If we go down to the bottom, it increases energy regen, which is always nice. And upon using Outro skill, it increases the attack of the next resonator by 22.5%. Another character that I personally don't have on my account, so I can't say too much about, is Changli. Now, Changli is a burst DPS type of character. She's very fast and she's used in quick swap teams. So if you guys are able to reach that skill ceiling and are able to use a quick swap team with Xiangliao as well as Changli, you're going to see some impressive numbers between those two characters because they just work so well together. And another character, which you guys may have seen this coming, is Sanhua. Now you may be thinking Sanhua buffs basic attack damage, and you said when talking about Yao that he doesn't really use basic attacks within his kit, which is why his normal attack should be leveled up last. And although that is true, we're moving away from that buff and are focusing strictly on how fast she generates energy for herself and how fast her rotation is in general. And with a rotation that fast, you can tack on that Moonlit Cloud set bonus to Yao in the blink of an eye, which again is why Sanhua is one of those characters that is a must build. And this is slowly turning into a Sanhua video. I was thinking of more things I could say about the character, but we'll leave it at that. She's just really fast in her rotation, is able to pass on buffs from the Moonlit Cloud set to Yao extremely fast. And lastly, these two characters are super simple, but I would put one above the other, and that is Verina as well as Shorekeeper. Now, in my opinion, I think Shorekeeper is the better option, and you should probably not even think about Verina if you have Shorekeeper, because she's just an insanely strong support character. Now, Shorekeeper, just as Verina, can be using the Rejuvenating Glow set and can also be using Fallacy of No Return, which, as we can see at the bottom, all team members get 10% bonus attack for 20 seconds. And not only that, but with the 5-piece set, it increases the attack of all party members by 15% for 30 seconds upon healing allies, which within her, stellar realm, which is her Resonance Liberation, it does a constant healing tick. But the main reason is because of her Resonance Liberation end loop, I believe it's called, where she generates a stellar realm. And upon 2 successful intro skills, we can see that the Supernal Stellar Realm increases the Resonator's energy regen and crit damage, as well as crit rate from the original Interstellar Realm, by 12.5 and 25% respectively. Because if you have, I believe, 250 energy regen, you'll reach the maximum, which is the 12.5 and 25% for the crit rate and crit damage, which is very solid for Yao, and which is why my Yao is able to do what he needs to do with only 60% crit rate on him. And Verina, since day one, has always been a super solid unit because she does have the capability of using the Rejuvenating Glow set, but upon her outro skill, all resonators on nearby teams have their damage amplified by 15% for 30 seconds. So let's look at it real quick. Probably the best in slot team for Yao is Yinlin as well as Shorekeeper, but the problem with that is that that's 3 5-star characters on one team. So say your only limited time character is Shang Liao. Who can you use then? Another team that you could use is a team like this, with Sanhua as well as Yuhu. But that's enough talking from me. Now we get to demonstrate using this team within, I think we're doing Tower of Adversity today, and we'll leave the Philian Bearing Null alone for a second. So as you guys see, we were able to clear the Echoing Tower's last area where we fight a level 90 Crownless. And as you can see, yes, we do get the electro damage bonus as well as the attack increase and Resonance Liberation damage bonus. So we're going to hop into here. I'll show you my basic rotation with Yao, Yinlin, and Shorekeeper, and pretty much just how I like to play the team. All right, let's do this. Crownless. Do that, hold U, click that, into Burst, Resonance Liberation. We're switch over to Yinlin. That. Yinlin can also use Heron here. Heron is perfectly fine. I'm just using Bellborn because it has better subs. We're going to hold that and swap into Yao. Echo here. We'll heavy attack, move out the way, use E, and then pop our ulti, Resonance Liberation. Hitting a 212 right there, which is not half bad. We're using Law of Rains, which is obviously slowing down time, making it much easier for us to get out of the way. Go to E here, enhance E combo. Back down and get the parry for that. And do the switch, because we were able to do some damage in the very beginning to help us with our Concerto meter on Shang Liao. This buff is already up. Use this, that, E, 1, 2, Yinlin. So we have the increased crit rate from her E ability. We can use Resonant Skill, 1 there, pop to that. He's a little low, so we are going to use the Tempest Mephis here. And we just heard the parry. We didn't crit here, but that's perfectly fine. We still have a minute left. And we're kind of making it difficult for Crownless to do anything here, except I spoke too early. I'm just going to use that there, because why not? Dodge out the way. That also does damage. I always forget about that move, not gonna lie to you guys. We don't have enough for that Law of Rains, but that's okay, because Shorekeeper parries. Yep, that's perfect. We did mess up a few times in here, but all in all, I think you kind of see how powerful this team can actually be. We didn't get the outro, now we do. Use that, Echo skill. We didn't get the parry there, but he dies here. Not. There we go. All right. So although that wasn't the best demonstration of the Yinlin, Shang Liao, and Shorekeeper team, I think you guys can see that with a decent amount of investment on these characters that this team is actually super, super solid. And as you can see with the crit rate increase and crit damage increase from Shorekeeper over to Shang Liao, he was able to crit majority of the time on his abilities, which was, you know, enabling him to be a better damage dealer, even though he started off with a pretty low crit rate stat in general. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it this far, that's awesome. And you must like this content, so consider subscribing. I'll be making some more stuff in the future. I think I might just make a Yinlin one. There's a few more things I have to test for Yinlin, but if you do want to see a Yinlin breakdown or some other character that I have my account, make sure you guys comment it down in the section below. And if I got anything wrong, please let me know so I can make my videos even better for you guys in the future. Thank you all for watching, and make sure you know, if you don't want to get hit, then you better crit, because that's the only way you're going to get the damage done. My name is Topi, and peace.